My son had never looked so scared. His backpack slipped off his shoulders as he ran toward me after school, eyes wide, lips trembling, like he'd just witnessed something he couldn't understand. "Dad." He grabbed my hand with both of his. "Dad, don't go home tonight." I froze. He wasn't playing. He wasn't confused. He was terrified. He swallowed hard and whispered. "I heard Mom on the phone. She said she's going to ruin you tonight." 5 lines. 5 punches straight to the heart. Before we continue, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and comment your country. I love knowing how far these stories travel. My name is Ethan Ward, 39 years old, co-owner of a successful home renovation company in Colorado, husband of 12 years, and father to an 8-year-old boy who's the only reason I breathe, Liam. To the outside world, we were a normal suburban family living in a peaceful cul-de-sac in Lakewood. 2-story home. A backyard where Liam and I played catch every evening. A golden retriever named Tucker. My wife, Emily, who everyone believed was the sweetest woman in the neighborhood. But perfect houses hide the darkest secrets. The first cracks. For months, something was off with Emily. She was always on her phone. Deleting texts. Smiling at messages she wouldn't let me see. Leaving the house dressed too carefully to run errands. When I asked questions, she snapped. "Stop being paranoid, Ethan. You're suffocating me." But paranoia doesn't make lipstick appear on shirts. It doesn't create late nights that never used to exist. It doesn't erase love from someone's eyes. I pushed it down. I told myself marriage had seasons. I told myself it was stress. I told myself we could fix it. I was wrong. The blow at work. The day Liam warned me, my entire morning had already been a disaster. My business partner, Mark, called me into our office. He didn't look like my friend of 15 years. He looked like a man watching something he cares about burn. "Ethan, sit down." He turned his monitor toward me. Bank statements. Unauthorized transfers. Emails with my digital signature. Documents showing I'd approved payments to accounts I'd never heard of. Then he dropped the bomb. "Your wife called earlier. She told the bank you've been acting unstable, and she asked them to freeze all shared accounts." My jaw tightened. "What? Why would she?" "It gets worse," Mark said, voice low. "She also reported financial misconduct. Said she was afraid you were stealing from the company." My bloodstream turned to ice. "Emily? My own wife?" Mark rubbed his face with shaking hands. "Ethan, if this goes formally to the state licensing board, we could lose the company." I stared at the screen, numb. "There's no way Emily did this," I whispered. But deep down, a voice in my head said she absolutely could. The final confirmation. I left work early, my brain spiraling. When I reached Liam's school to pick him up, I was still convincing myself there had to be some misunderstanding. Then Liam ran to me with terror in his eyes. "Dad, don't go home tonight." Everything froze. I knelt down. "What did you hear, buddy?" He looked around nervously. Kids were playing, but he acted like someone might overhear him. "I was in the kitchen getting cereal," he whispered, "and Mom was talking on the phone with a man. She didn't know I was listening." My heart slammed against my ribs. "What did she say?" Liam hesitated, tears welling. "She said that tonight, you're done. That you're going to lose everything. That the police would believe her." My chest tightened like a fist was squeezing it. "And," he swallowed hard, "she said you won't get to see me anymore." I felt the ground tilt beneath me. For a moment, I couldn't speak. I couldn't breathe. I just held my son, because if I didn't, I might collapse right there on the pavement. "Did you hear the man's name?" I asked quietly. "Yeah," he whispered. "He called her sweetheart. He said he loved her. And he said everything was ready for tonight." A ringing filled my ears. This wasn't just an affair. This wasn't just betrayal. This was a coordinated attack. Driving away instead of home. Instead of driving toward our house, I drove to a quiet parking lot behind an old grocery store. Liam sat in the back seat, hugging his backpack. My mind raced. Why would she do this? Why now? Why destroy me? Why take my son? Then it clicked. Money. If I was arrested. If she got a restraining order. If she got full custody. She'd get the house, the assets, the accounts, my share of the business, everything. It wasn't emotional. It was strategic. Cold. Calculated. Heartless. The kind of betrayal suburban neighbors never imagine behind white fences and manicured lawns. The call I never expected. As I sat there trying to stop my hands from shaking, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Mr. Ward, a man said sharply. Yes. This is Officer Bennett from the Lakewood Police Department. Your wife has filed a report stating you may be violent and unstable. The world narrowed. We need you to come in for questioning, he continued. There are also allegations of financial misconduct tied to your business. My heart pounded. Right on schedule. Exactly like she planned. Just like Liam warned me. The officer spoke again. If you're at home, please stay where you are. Officers are on their way to speak with you. My throat went dry. Stay at home. They were heading there. Emily wanted them to find me inside the house. She needed a scene. A trap. A false confrontation to justify a restraining order. I glanced at Liam in the rearview mirror. If I had gone home like normal. If my son hadn't warned me. My life would have ended tonight. Officer, I said calmly, forcing my voice steady, I'm not home. There was a long pause on the line. Then the officer said, lower this time. Then I suggest you stay away until this is sorted. He hung up. My entire world felt like it was collapsing. The moment I changed. I put the phone down and sat in silence for a long moment. The Ethan who trusted his wife. Dead. The Ethan who believed in second chances. Gone. The Ethan who thought love protected you. Buried. In his place stood a man who understood the truth. Sometimes the people smiling across the dinner table are the ones sharpening the knife. I looked at my son. I'm not going to let them take you, I whispered. Liam nodded hard, trusting me completely. This wasn't a marriage crisis anymore. It was war. And I was done being the prey. The parking lot was nearly empty, sunlight fading behind the Rockies as the air grew colder. Liam sat silently in the back seat, his little hands fidgeting with the zipper of his jacket. He was scared, but trying to be brave. I leaned my head back against the headrest and exhaled slowly. My wife. The woman I once trusted with everything. Had prepared a full-blown ambush. False accusations. Police involvement. Frozen accounts. Coordinated timing. And behind all of it. The man on the phone calling her sweetheart. But I needed clarity, not rage. Buddy, I said softly, are you hungry? He nodded. Okay, I said. We're going to grab a burger, and then I need you to tell me everything you heard. I mean everything. You didn't do anything wrong. I know, Dad, he whispered. I started the car. This wasn't running away. This was the first step in not walking into their trap. The burger joint confession. We sat in a corner booth at a small burger place. Liam's legs swung under the seat. He was quiet, watching the door as if Emily might walk in at any moment. When the food arrived, he didn't eat at first. He just stared at the table. It's okay, I said gently. Tell me what you heard. He took a shaky breath. Mom was in the kitchen. I think she didn't know I was there. He lifted his eyes. She said tonight everything would fall apart for you. She said the papers were ready. And the man on the phone said the officers would handle the rest. My jaw clenched. What papers? I asked. He shook his head. I don't know. But Mom said you'd lose the house and that she wouldn't have to explain anything to me because the judge would understand. A cold shiver crawled down my spine. She'd been planning this for months. Did she mention the man's name? I asked. Liam nodded slowly. He said his name was Daniel. No, David. Yes, David. David. A common name. But my stomach twisted. David Carlisle. Emily's friend from her yoga class. Divorced attorney. Smart. Connected. I never trusted the guy. Turns out I should have trusted my instinct. The house I couldn't enter. After dinner, I drove back toward our neighborhood, but I didn't pull into our driveway. I parked far down the street, behind an RV. From that distance, I could see everything without being seen. The lights in my house were on. Emily's SUV was in the driveway. And next to it, a silver BMW. David's. A hollow feeling washed through my chest. He was inside my home. Probably sitting on my couch. Maybe drinking from my glasses. Maybe touching my wife. But none of that compared to the real betrayal. They were planning to take my son from me. This is bad, isn't it? Liam whispered from the back seat. I turned to him, steadying my voice. It's bad. But you're safe with me. And I won't let anything happen to you. I promise. His eyes filled with tears, but he nodded bravely. Watching the trap unfold. As we waited in the dark street, something happened that confirmed everything Liam said. A police cruiser slowly rolled up to my house. Lights off. Quiet. They weren't there for an emergency. They were waiting for the call. Waiting for the signal from Emily. Waiting to arrest me. My hands tightened on the steering wheel until my knuckles turned white. If Liam hadn't warned me, I'd be in handcuffs right now. I wasn't angry anymore. I was focused. The dangerous phone call. My phone buzzed again. Emily. I stared at her name glowing on the screen. Liam whispered, "Don't answer." But I had to. If I didn't, she might escalate and claim I was unpredictable. I put the phone on speaker so Liam could hear. I answered calmly. Emily. Her voice was fake sweet. It used to fool me. Not anymore. Ethan, where are you? You're late. We need to talk tonight. Talk. Meaning, walk into the trap. I said nothing for 2 seconds. Let the silence hit her. She cleared her throat. Ethan, seriously. You need to come home. Now. Her tone sharpened. More urgent. More controlling. I realized something. She wasn't worried. She was impatient. Everything was arranged. Except me. I'm not coming home tonight, I finally said. Silence. Then her mask slipped. What do you mean you're not coming home? Her voice dropped, cold and flat. I mean exactly what I said. Her breath hitched, a tiny crack of panic. You're making things harder for yourself. You need to come home. We need to discuss the papers. Not tonight. More silence. I could practically hear her recalculating her strategy. You're being ridiculous, Ethan. You're acting unstable. Unstable. The exact term she used in her police complaint. I glanced at the cruiser still parked near our house. I'm fine, I said. Ethan, she whispered sharply, come. Home. Now. There it was, the command. She wasn't asking. She was demanding. The person she truly was. No, I said, voice steady. She inhaled sharply, like she'd been slapped. Then you leave me no choice, she hissed. Click. She hung up. Liam stared at me, eyes wide. Dad, what does that mean? I exhaled slowly. It means she's about to make her move. Back to the neighborhood. 10 minutes later, a second police cruiser arrived in front of the house. Emily stepped outside, wearing her sad wife face. Perfectly calculated. Practiced. She talked to the officers, pointing toward the street, pretending to be scared. Pretending I was a danger. Pretending she was the victim. I watched her from the shadows. I didn't feel heartbreak anymore. I felt something colder. Sharper. Heavier. Determination. She wanted custody. She wanted to paint me as unstable. She wanted to destroy my business, my freedom, my reputation. She had no idea who she was fighting. The quiet decision. I looked at Liam. "Buddy, we're not going home tonight." He nodded, trusting me. "We're going somewhere safe for now." "Where?" I put the car in drive. "To start planning." His eyebrows lifted. "Planning what?" I stared at the house glowing in the distance, the house full of betrayal. "Everything," I said. "Every part of getting our life back." I took one last look at Emily standing in our driveway, pretending to cry to the officers. Then I drove away. I didn't feel like a broken husband. I felt like a man on the edge of a transformation. If she wanted war, I would give her one she'd never forget. I drove for nearly an hour before stopping at a small roadside motel off the interstate. Not glamorous. Not comfortable. But hidden enough that Emily and her attorney boyfriend wouldn't find us. Liam held my hand tightly as we entered the room. 2 beds, creaky floors, and an old heater humming in the corner, but it was safe. Safe was all we needed. He sat on the bed, legs pulled to his chest. "Dad, are we in trouble?" I knelt in front of him. "No. You're not. And I'm going to fix this." His eyes were worried, studying my face like he was trying to measure my strength. "You promise?" I took his small hand in mine. "I promise. But I'll need your help, just being honest with me, okay?" He nodded. "Good. Because from here on, clarity was everything. The first step, information." I took out my phone and opened my banking app. Blocked. Next, our main joint credit account. Frozen. My personal savings. Empty. Completely empty. A slow, burning fury rose inside me, not explosive, not wild, but cold. Emily had drained the money. She had planned this financial suffocation perfectly. She wanted me desperate. Discredited. Destabilized. But the mistake she made, the one her attorney boyfriend didn't see, was that I wasn't alone. I still had Liam. And I had the truth. And the truth is the most dangerous weapon in a revenge story. The ally I didn't expect. I scrolled to a name I hadn't called in years, Detective Colin Hayes. We met long ago during a home burglary case I helped him with. I'd installed security cams for his precinct. He owed me one. I called. He picked up on the 4th ring. "Ward? Ethan Ward? Haven't heard your voice in years." "I need help," I said quietly. "Something serious." His voice shifted instantly. "Where are you?" "A motel off Highway 70. And don't worry, I'm not running. I'm avoiding a setup." "A setup?" His tone sharpened. "Tell me everything." And I did. The false report. The financial sabotage. The custody threat. The new boyfriend attorney orchestrating the whole thing. Hayes exhaled heavily. "Jesus, this is bigger than a domestic dispute." "I know. You have your son with you?" "Yes." "Good. Keep it that way." Those words hit me like a shock. He knew. He understood. He believed me. "Listen," he continued. "You need evidence, solid evidence. If she's planning to accuse you of violence or instability, you being out of the house is the smartest move you could have made." My jaw clenched. "I need to expose her, Hayes." "You will. But you have to be careful. These cases get ugly, and attorneys like Carlyle, they know how to twist narratives." So I was right. David Carlyle, the silver BMW lawyer, was the voice Liam heard. Hayes gave instructions. "Tomorrow morning, come to the precinct at 8. Don't be late. Bring your son. I'll open an incident file before she weaponizes the system." For the first time that day, hope flickered in my chest. But hope wasn't enough. I needed a plan. The sleepless night. After Liam fell asleep, I sat in the dim motel room with only the lamp on. My mind raced. Emily hadn't just cheated. She hadn't just lied. She had strategically tried to erase me from my own life. Why? Money? Revenge? New love? All of it. I pulled out my laptop, the one piece of tech she hadn't gotten to. I logged into the company's server. Something was wrong immediately. Files deleted. Contracts missing. Approval logs altered. And there, buried under layers of access logs, I found it. David Carlisle had accessed our company documents using my username. My mouth went dry. They weren't just trying to ruin my family. They were trying to ruin my business, too. I took screenshots. Saved everything on an external drive. Evidence. Proof. A future weapon. The night deepened. Cars passed outside on the highway. Liam snored softly on the bed. And in that motel room, with cheap yellow lighting and a heater that rattled, something changed inside me. The fear evaporated. The sadness evaporated. The husband evaporated. What replaced him was a tactician. A strategist. A man ready to rebuild himself from the ground up, stronger. More calculating. More dangerous. The morning after. At 7 a.m., I woke Liam gently. "Hey, champ. Big day. You ready?" He yawned. "Yeah, is Mom gonna be there?" "No." "Good." We arrived at the precinct exactly at 8. Detective Hayes met us at the back entrance, discreet, intentional. He wasn't treating me like a suspect. He was treating me like a man walking into a war zone. He sat Liam in a safe waiting area with cartoons and snacks. Then he took me to a small room. "Okay, Ethan. Let's get ahead of this." He typed rapidly as I explained everything again, in full detail this time: dates, behavior changes, financial issues, affair suspicions, the phone call, the police ambush. Then Hayes did something I'll never forget. He leaned back, crossed his arms, and said, "This looks like a coordinated attempt to provoke a domestic incident and sabotage your credibility. I've seen this before, especially when a divorce attorney is involved." My skin prickled. "So I'm not crazy." "You're not crazy," he said. "You're being hunted." The words hit me like a hammer. "But you came to me first," he added. "That puts you in control." Control. The one thing Emily thought she took from me. Not anymore. The first advantage. Hayes opened the official report and added a note. Subject states concerns of false allegations and premeditated entrapment. Prefers peaceful separation and voluntary distance until facts clarified. He looked at me. "This right here will protect you from any claim that you're unstable, volatile, or evading responsibility. If she files a restraining order based on lies, this file destroys her credibility." I exhaled, finally feeling like I wasn't drowning. "Thank you," I said. "We're not done," he replied. "You still need evidence of the affair, financial sabotage, and any conversation that suggests a setup." "I already started collecting," I said, sliding him the flash drive. He nodded with approval. "You're smarter than she expected." No, I was smarter than I expected. The shocking moment. As Liam and I left the precinct, I saw something that stopped me cold. Emily's SUV. Parked right in front. She got out, wearing oversized sunglasses and fake tears. And next to her, David Carlisle, the attorney boyfriend. He put his hand on her back protectively, like she was the victim. They were walking into the station, right after us. Emily spotted me. Her expression twisted. Not guilt. Not fear. Rage. Pure rage. She hadn't expected me to get ahead of her. She hadn't expected me to be strategic. She hadn't expected me to rise. And the look she gave me was the moment I knew. This wasn't just betrayal. This was war. And I had just won the first battle. I sat in that parking lot long after the last orange smear of sunset faded behind the outlet stores. My son's warning replayed in my head over and over. "Dad, don't go home tonight." Not, "Be careful." Not, "I'm scared." Not, "Mom's acting weird." Don't go home. With a seriousness an 8-year-old shouldn't even know how to form. My hands were tight on the steering wheel. My heartbeat thumped in slow, heavy thuds. My vision tunneled into the dark road ahead. I had no idea what waited for me at that house. But I knew this: my son saw something. And children don't lie about things they fear. I put the car into drive. But halfway out of the parking space, I stopped. I couldn't just drive home blindly. I needed a plan. I needed leverage. I needed evidence. And most importantly, I needed to protect my son from whatever mess his mother had dragged him into. So instead of going home, I drove 15 minutes to the only person I trusted. My brother-in-law, Peter. Not because I trusted him with her secrets, but because he despised Danny's new habits almost as much as I was beginning to. He lived 2 towns over in one of those quiet cul-de-sac homes with solar lights along the driveway and an American flag that never drooped. He was ex-military. Disciplined. Focused. Hated drama. He opened the door in sweatpants and a hoodie. "Jason? It's late." "Yeah. I know. Can I come in?" He took one look at my face and stepped aside. I walked into his living room, and it hit me how peaceful his home always felt. No shouting. No slammed doors. No accusations. No suspicions twisting through the air like smoke. Just calm. His teenage daughter was asleep on the couch with a blanket over her legs, the TV lighting her face with some baking show. Peter turned it down and nodded toward the dining table. "Talk." I rubbed my face. "It's Danny." He didn't flinch. He just exhaled slowly. "Yeah, figured. Go on." I told him everything Evan said. Word for word. Expression for expression. Fear for fear. He listened with his arms folded, his jaw set in that military way that meant he was calculating risks. When I finished, he didn't speak immediately. Then. "Okay. First thing, your boy wasn't lying." My stomach tightened. Kids that age don't make up threats. They repeat things they overheard. Things adults didn't think they understood. Things they weren't supposed to hear. I nodded, throat dry. "I think she's seeing someone," I admitted. "Someone she doesn't want me to know about." Maybe that's what Evan stumbled into. Peter's expression shifted. "Or," he said slowly, "it's something worse." The room suddenly felt colder. "What do you mean worse?" He leaned forward. "You said he warned you not to go home. Not that Mom was being mean. Not that she was arguing on the phone. He warned you like something dangerous would happen to you if you walked through that door." Dangerous. The word sat heavy between us. "I don't think she'd ever hurt me," I said carefully. "You don't," he replied. "But someone else might." Silence swallowed the table. We both knew what he meant. Danny wasn't strong. Danny wasn't violent. Danny wouldn't attack me physically. But another man. A boyfriend. A fling with an ego. A guy who felt threatened. A guy who didn't want the husband showing up unannounced. That was different. Peter stood up. "Where's Evan now?" "At his friend's house." "Good. He stays there tonight." "No matter what." I nodded. "Now," he said, "you and I are going to find out what's happening in that house. And we're going to be smart about it." He walked over to a small safe under the stairs and pressed a code. It clicked open. Inside was exactly what I expected from an ex-military suburban dad. A flashlight. A camera with night mode. A GoPro. Binoculars. A folder of emergency contacts. And a small handgun he kept locked and registered. He didn't touch the weapon. He grabbed the camera. "We get evidence," he said simply. "You want to stake out my house?" I asked. "I want to keep you alive," he replied. And the way he said it, flat, sure, emotionless, made my skin prickle. Maybe I had been naive. Maybe I had been hoping it was just an affair. Maybe I didn't want to consider anything more dangerous. But now. That warning from my son kept echoing like a siren. "Dad, don't go home tonight." We drove in separate cars. In case someone recognized mine. He parked at the end of the street. I parked 2 houses down from my own driveway. It was 11:37 p.m. Every house was dark except mine. The downstairs living room light was on. The kitchen light too. And worse. Through the gap in the living room curtains, I saw a silhouette pass by. Tall. Broad shoulders. Not Danny. Peter zoomed his camera. Man, he whispered, that's no babysitter. I swallowed hard, anger boiling beneath fear. My wife wasn't just cheating. She brought a man into my home. Into my son's home. Into the bed we paid for together. But. Because I still heard Evan's voice like a soft trembling echo. Dad, don't go home tonight. I know something about her. Peter lowered the camera. Jason, you're not going in that house. I'm not, I said. He looked at me, surprised at how calm I was. Then what's the plan? I exhaled slowly. The plan, I said, is to let them think I don't know anything. Not yet. Why? Because I'm going to destroy them both. Completely. Legally. Financially. Emotionally. In a way that leaves no room for escape. Peter nodded once. And this, I said, eyes fixed on the glowing window where the stranger moved inside my home, is where my comeback begins. We stayed until the lights went off. Then we drove away. I slept at Peter's guest room that night. And for the first time in years, I slept deeply. Because now I had clarity. And nothing, not Danny, not the man in my house, not anyone, could stop what was coming. I woke up to the smell of coffee and the low hum of Peter's blender. Sunlight spilled through the blinds in thin golden lines. For a moment, everything felt normal. Then I remembered. My wife had a man in my house. My son was scared of her. And I wasn't going back home, not yet. I sat up slowly, my body heavy from the emotional crash of the previous night. Peter knocked. You up? Yeah. He opened the door halfway. I made breakfast. You need fuel if you're going to think clearly. I appreciated his bluntness. He was the only person I could rely on right now. I dressed and walked into the kitchen where he slid a plate toward me, eggs, toast, fruit. He didn't make small talk. He waited until I took a bite. Then. We need facts. I nodded. What do you want to start with? He took out a notebook. First, the man in your house. We need to know who he is. I clenched my jaw. Second, Peter continued, we need to know how your wife met him. Affair? Tinder? Work? Gym? Probably the gym, I muttered. Peter wrote it down. Third, money. I frowned. Money? Jason, he said, voice flat, cheaters spend money. They get sloppy. Hotel rooms. Gifts. Secret accounts. Credit card charges at places they shouldn't be. The realization hit hard. Danny had access to our joint accounts. My salary. My savings. Everything was exposed. Peter saw my expression. Don't panic, get ahead. You need to know if she's already stealing from you. I felt like everything inside me tightened into a knot. And fourth, Peter said, we talked to Evan. I looked up quickly. No. I don't want to drag him into this. He's already in it. And he's the one who saved you last night. That shut me up. Peter leaned back, arms crossed. Jason, whatever that girl is doing, your son is witnessing it. He deserves clarity. He deserves safety. I nodded slowly. He was right. I bit into the toast, chewing hard, trying to push back the anger, the humiliation, the helplessness. Peter waited. So, he said, what's your plan? I swallowed. My plan? It's simple. I looked him straight in the eye. I'll gather everything. Every detail. Every lie. Every transaction. Every phone record. Every secret. And then, he asked. And then, I said, I'll take everything from her. Peter cracked a small, grim smile. There he is. The first step was calling the school. I needed to pick up Evan early, discreetly. I told the administrator I wanted to surprise him with a father-son day. She believed it. But when I got to the school, Evan didn't run toward me like he usually did. He walked slowly. Carefully. Studying my face. I knelt and opened my arms. He came in for a hug but held onto my shirt a little too long. "Are you mad at me?" he whispered. My throat tightened. "No, buddy. Of course not. You didn't go home, right?" "No." I listened. He sagged in relief. Then he looked up and said something that made my heart stop. Good, because he was there. I froze. "Who, Evan?" He swallowed. "The man Mom said I can't talk about." My blood went cold. "Hey," I said softly, lifting his chin, "you're safe. You can tell me anything." He glanced around nervously. "Mom said he doesn't like you, and she said you'll be gone soon." My heart hammered in my chest. Gone. Gone how? Legally? Physically? Replaced? Forced out? Hurt? I kept my voice calm. "What does gone mean, buddy?" He fidgeted. "I don't know. She just said you're in the way." Peter, who had driven separately, wrote that down in his notebook. This was worse than I thought. We sat on a bench under a tree. Evan held a juice pouch, staring at the ground. "Do you trust me?" I asked. He nodded immediately. "Good. Because I need you to tell me something important." He looked up nervously. "Last night, did something happen at home? Something you saw?" His eyes filled with fear. He nodded. "Yes." My pulse spiked. "What did you see?" He looked around, lowered his voice, and whispered. "Mom was yelling at him, and he said, 'Don't worry. He won't be a problem soon.'" My breath caught. My hands curled into fists. This wasn't just cheating. This wasn't just betrayal. This wasn't emotional negligence. This was a threat. A real one. Peter stepped forward, crouching at eye level. "Evan," he said gently, "did the man say anything else?" The boy nodded again. He said, "We'll take the house, the money, and the kid. And he won't even see it coming." My blood turned to fire. They wanted my home. My finances. My son. My entire life. They were planning something long before I found out. And Evan accidentally overheard it. That's why Danny panicked. That's why she begged him to stay quiet. That's why she made him promise not to tell me. That's why my son warned me. Peter closed his notebook. This is war. As I drove back toward Peter's house, something settled deep inside me. A cold calm. A clarity I hadn't felt in years. My wife had already replaced me in her mind. She was already building a new life, with another man, inside the home I paid for. Using my money. My effort. My sacrifices. My family. But what broke me wasn't losing her. It was that she involved my son. She sprinkled poison into his ears. She made him lie. She made him afraid. She used him as a shield. And now a stranger, some arrogant, bold, reckless man, believed he could take everything I built. No. No, that wasn't going to happen. Not in this universe. Not in any world. I parked the car. Evan fell asleep in the back seat. Peter leaned into my window. "Ready to ruin them?" he asked. I nodded. "I'm ready to end them." Peter and I waited until Evan was settled inside with a bowl of mac and cheese and a Pixar movie playing. The moment the living room door clicked shut, Peter opened his laptop. Time to identify this clown. He inserted the memory card from his camera, the one he used during the stakeout. A few clicks later, the freeze frame popped up on screen. A tall, cocky-looking man. Broad shoulders. Tattoo on the forearm. Confident stride. Inside my living room. My stomach clenched so tight I had to grip the table. Peter zoomed in on the tattoo. "It's a unit symbol," he muttered. "A military unit?" I asked. "Yeah. Private contractors sometimes use them too." He typed something into a search bar I didn't recognize. This guy is either ex-military or pretending to be. Either way, he thinks he's tough. Then he grinned. I hope he thinks you're weak. The image of the man pacing casually inside my house, in my space, drinking my whiskey, sitting on my couch, it hit like a punch to the ribs. Can you find him? I asked. Peter chuckled. You're talking to the right guy. 10 minutes later, we had a name. Keith Rourke. Age 38. Originally from Arizona. Moved to our state 2 years ago. No stable job. Multiple short-term gigs. Bar fights. A restraining order from an ex-girlfriend. 2 DUIs. A domestic disturbance charge that mysteriously got dropped. My jaw tightened with every new piece of information. This was who Danny brought into my house. Near my son. Around his toys, his snacks, his school projects. Then came the punchline. Status, unemployed. Peter tapped the screen. He's not with her for love. He's with her for convenience. Someone's paying for his meals, his drinks, his living. And that someone, is you. A cold chill slid down my spine. I leaned back in the chair. So she's supporting him. Using your income, Peter corrected. And planning to take more of it. He opened a new tab. Now, let's see what your wife has been up to. Peter pulled up the online access portal to my bank accounts. Danny and I shared everything. She had the passwords. I trusted her. Biggest mistake of my life. Peter scrolled. Then he stopped. Jason. His voice changed, lower, slower, harder. I looked. And my world tilted. There were charges I didn't recognize. $712 at a restaurant in the city. $389 at a hotel. $540 at a premium gym I didn't belong to. $1,200 cash withdrawal. $278 lingerie purchase. $800 for personal training sessions. $1,500 at a jewelry store. Multiple Uber rides at 2 a.m. And worst of all, $4,000 moved from savings to checking without my knowledge. My throat dried. That jewelry one. Peter said. You sure you didn't buy her anything? No, I whispered. I haven't bought her jewelry in years. He clicked it open. It was a men's bracelet. My stomach twisted. She bought him jewelry. With my money. As a gift. While she told me she was stressed and needed me time. Peter kept scrolling. There were months of this. Slow. Quiet. Hidden in the background of our daily arguments and tension. I sat back, head pounding. She drained us, I said quietly. Peter nodded. And she's not done. She's warming up to something bigger. What's bigger than this? Divorce, he said. A brutal one. One where she cries in court and paints you as the villain. I swallowed the rising bile. She'll want the house. She'll want custody. She'll want child support. She'll want half your savings. And don't be surprised if she tries for spousal support as well. My hands curled into fists. That's why Evan warned you, Peter said. He overheard the plan. I stared at the charges again. All that money. All those lies. All those hours I thought she was visiting her mom, or shopping, or working out. I wasn't married to a wife anymore. I was married to a parasite. And she'd found a new host. Peter closed the laptop. What's next? He asked. I stood slowly. My whole body trembled, but not from fear. From something sharper. Cleaner. Hotter. Focus. I looked Peter dead in the eye. I'm done crying. I'm done begging. I'm done wondering what I did wrong. He waited. I'm not losing my son. I'm not losing my house. And I'm damn sure not losing my life to some unstable loser who thinks he can take over my family. Peter's expression shifted into approval. You're going to fight back. No, I said. I'm going to tear them apart. I removed Danny's online banking access. Changed every password. Blocked her number from receiving verification codes. Locked down the savings account. Peter gave me the number of a divorce attorney who specialized in exposing financial infidelity and affair partners. I called a child psychologist's office to schedule an evaluation for Evan. Not to weaponize him, but to protect him. His fear needed to be documented. Peter handed me a small device. "What's this?" I asked. "Security camera. Wireless. Motion activated. HD. You can hide it in a living room vent, under a bookshelf, wherever." I turned it in my hand. "You want me to go back?" "Not tonight," Peter said. "But soon. Because we're not done gathering evidence." I exhaled. I sent Danny a simple text. "Love you. Be home late. Got stuck at work." Peter whistled. "Smart. Let her think you're clueless. The more confident she feels, the sloppier she'll get. And the more evidence we'll have." I leaned against the counter. "This stops being her game," I said quietly. "Today." Peter clapped me on the shoulder. "Welcome to your comeback arc." 2 days passed. 2 long, calculated, bitter days. Danny had no idea I knew anything. She kept texting like nothing was wrong. "Are you coming home? Where are you staying? Why aren't you answering?" And my favorite lie of all. "Evan misses you." Peter smirked whenever I showed him her messages. "She's panicking," he'd say. "She can feel the control slipping." Good. But today was the day. We weren't going back to talk. We were going back to plant a camera, gather proof, and solidify my defense. Evan was at Peter's neighbor's house, playing on their PS5. Safe. Protected. Peter and I parked a block down from my home, the afternoon sun bright and unforgiving. "Remember," he said, "in and out. 10 minutes max. You're not confronting her. You're not confronting him. You're planting the device and scanning for anything useful." I nodded. But my hands shook on the steering wheel. My home, used by strangers. My space, invaded. My life, disrespected. I inhaled sharply. "I'm ready." We walked casually, like 2 neighbors taking a stroll. Halfway down the block, Peter murmured. "Front door. Someone's inside." The curtains were half drawn. Movement behind them. Shadows. 2 voices. 1 female. 1 male. Danny and Keith. My jaw flexed. Peter handed me the tiny camera. "You go in. I'll stay out here. If anything goes sideways, I'll cause a distraction." I swallowed. This was it. I walked up the driveway, to my own house, feeling like a thief in my own life. My heart hammered as I slid my old key quietly into the lock. It turned smoothly. She hadn't changed it. The moment I stepped inside, a wall of wrongness hit me. The air smelled different, cologne I didn't own. The shoes at the door weren't mine. A jacket hung over the sofa that I had never worn. My throw blanket was on the floor as if someone had sat on the couch carelessly. And then I saw it. 2 wine glasses on the coffee table. 1 lipstick stained. 1 smudged with fingerprints. I clenched my fists, forcing myself to stay calm. Evidence was evidence. Rage was useless. I took a quiet step forward. But then froze. Voices drifted from upstairs. Danny's voice, sweet, fake, performative. Keith's voice, low, mocking, arrogant. I moved silently to the living room vent, the perfect spot. The camera fit inside the gap between the grate slats. Hidden. Invisible. I pressed it in. Clicked it. The device synced to Peter's phone outside. 1 objective done. But then. A sentence drifted down the stairs that made my blood stop. "Once he's out of the picture, the house is ours." My breath trembled. Keith laughed. "Yeah. And how exactly are you planning on doing that?" "Court. Please. The guy's a doormat. He'll hand everything over if you guilt trip him long enough." Danny giggled, The same giggle she used to use with me, back when she loved me. Not guilt, she said. Accusations. My pulse spiked. What accusations? Keith asked. Danny lowered her voice. Just enough to make him look unstable. Or angry. Or unpredictable. My nails dug into my palms until they hurt. Keith chuckled darkly. And custody? Oh, Danny said easily, I'll get Evan. Jason's barely around anyway. And I'll say he scared me or yelled or something. Judges eat that up. Keith. And he has no idea we're together. Danny. Of course not. He's clueless. Keith laughed again. I almost stepped onto the stairs right then. Almost stormed up. Almost grabbed him by the throat. But Peter's voice echoed in my memory. Emotions destroy strategy. Evidence wins wars. So I forced myself still. Silent. Breathing slowly. Collecting every word. Keith. So after the divorce, we're set. Money, house, kid. Danny. Yes. All of it. Keith. And the savings? He makes good money. Danny. Oh, I've been draining that for months. He hasn't noticed. Keith. And he won't fight back. Danny. Soft laugh. He's too soft. That's why I'm done with him. Something in me broke. A clean break. A sharp snap. Not of pain. Not of heartbreak. But of fear. Fear was gone. Replaced with something far more dangerous. Resolve. I backed away quietly and slipped out the front door. Peter leaned against a tree, masking his worry. You okay? He asked, voice low. I shook my head. No. He straightened. What happened? I got the camera in place. And I heard everything. Peter's expression hardened. What did they say? I looked him in the eye. They're planning to take the house. Custody. Money. Everything. She's prepping fake accusations. She's already spent thousands. And she thinks I'm too weak to do anything. Peter inhaled slowly. What do you want to do? I didn't hesitate. We're not playing defense anymore. His eyes narrowed. Meaning? Meaning, I said, voice steady as steel, it's time for them to get scared. That evening, while Evan played video games in the next room, I sat at Peter's dining table and dialed the divorce attorney he recommended. The man answered on the second ring. Attorney Markham. Mr. Markham, I said, my name is Jason Rowe. I need emergency counsel. Tell me what's happening. I inhaled. My wife is having an affair. With a dangerous man. She's draining our accounts. She's planning false accusations. She's planning to take custody. Markham's tone sharpened. You came to the right lawyer. I need to protect my son, I said. You will. But first, I need everything you have. Financial records. Photos. Dates. And anything you recorded. I smiled grimly. I've got something better, I said. I've got their plan, word for word, on video. Markham's tone shifted to approval. Good. Then we don't wait. What do we do? We strike first. Those words settled into me like armor. Strike first. Strike smart. Strike hard. And finally, win. Attorney Markham moved fast. Faster than I expected. Faster than Danny could ever prepare for. Within 24 hours, he had frozen the joint accounts. Drafted an emergency custody petition. Prepared financial misconduct filings. Begun paperwork for exclusive home possession. Contacted the court for an expedited hearing. Requested a temporary protective order against Keith. All while Danny thought I was still working late. Markham's voice over the phone was cold, sharp, surgical. Jason, listen to me carefully. You are not the villain. You're the injured party. Do not initiate contact with your wife. Do not enter the home again without me. And under no circumstances raise your voice to her. We stay clean. We stay strategic. I nodded even though he couldn't see me. What happens next? I asked. Markham exhaled. Next, we hit her with everything. All at once. Danny must have sensed something. Because at 6:14 p.m. that evening, her number popped up on my phone. I let it ring. Peter watched me from across the table, arms folded. A second later, a text. Danny. Jason, where are you? We need to talk. Then another. You're scaring me. This isn't like you. Lie. Another. You can't just disappear. Evan needs his parents together. Lie. And then the one Peter expected. If you don't come home tonight, I'm calling a lawyer. I looked up at Peter. He snorted. She's panicking. Good. Let her shake. But then. Text number 5. Jason. Keith says you're unstable and maybe dangerous. I'm starting to think he's right. My entire body stiffened. Peter's head snapped up. Oh, she's fast, he muttered. Already planting the dangerous husband narrative. That wasn't a text of concern. That wasn't fear. That was strategy. She was setting up accusations. Building a case. Shaping a future lie. I didn't answer. I didn't need to. Markham told me. Silence is your weapon. The next morning, my phone buzzed with a notification from the camera we planted. Movement detected, living room. I opened the feed. And there they were. Danny in leggings and a tank top. Keith shirtless, pacing with a beer. Keith. Where the hell is he? I thought you said he'd be home by now. Danny shrugged. He's being dramatic. He'll come crawling back. Keith snorted. He better. I want this crap over with. I'm tired of hiding. Let's get the custody thing done and kick him out. My jaw clenched. Danny walked into frame, annoyed. I told you. We need a reason. Something real enough for a judge to believe. Keith rolled his eyes. Say he hit you. My blood boiled. Danny. He's never hit me. Keith. So. Lie. Everyone lies. Women win that stuff anyway. Peter, watching over my shoulder, muttered. Oh, that's it. That's the nail in the coffin. The camera kept rolling. Danny bit her lip. I was thinking. She hesitated. Maybe I say he scared Evan. My stomach dropped. Keith shrugged. Use the kid, use whatever. You want the house, right? Danny nodded. Keith stepped close and grabbed her waist. Then stop overthinking. Just make him look like the bad guy and we win. Danny kissed him. Right there. On the couch. In the home I bought. Peter exhaled slowly. That's the evidence Markham needs. This video is dynamite. I didn't blink. I didn't cry. I didn't shake. Something inside me hardened. And I whispered. Now they burn. Markham arranged an emergency filing for the next morning. You are doing nothing illegal, he said. You are protecting your son. And yourself. I arrived at the courthouse in a gray button-up shirt, jeans, and clean shoes. Professional. Calm. Sober. Controlled. Danny was nowhere in sight. Markham walked beside me with a folder thick enough to be a college textbook. He placed it on the courtroom table. It held screenshots of fraudulent charges. Bank statements showing financial abuse. The video recording of Danny and Keith's conspiracy. Evan's statements written down. My clean criminal record. Photos of bruises on Keith's ex, public record. Screenshots of Danny's texts. 3 minutes before the judge entered, Danny walked in. Her eyes went wide. Fear, shock, confusion. When she saw me sitting with an attorney. She opened her mouth to speak. Markham raised a hand. Mrs. Rowe, he said calmly. Do not approach my client. She froze, looking small. Keith wasn't with her. Coward. When the bailiff called for order and the judge entered, Danny's composure cracked. And then the judge said the words that sealed the beginning of her downfall. Court will review the emergency custody, protection, and financial filings in Roe v. Roe. She jerked her head toward me. Wait, what? Markham stood smoothly. Your Honor, we have significant evidence of infidelity, financial misconduct, intent to commit fraud, and intent to manipulate custody proceedings. Danny gasped. That's not. He's lying. Markham clicked the screen on the evidence monitor. The video played. Every word. Clear. Loud. Undeniable. Danny's face drained white. The judge's expression iced over. Keith's mocking voice echoed through the courtroom speakers. Say he hit you. Lie. Everyone lies. Use the kid. By the time it ended, Danny's hands were shaking violently. The judge leaned forward. Mrs. Rowe, why were you discussing fabricating abuse allegations with another man in your husband's home? Danny stuttered. Broke. Crumpled. Your Honor, it wasn't, we didn't, I can explain. No, the judge said sharply. You will not. He turned to me. Mr. Rowe, you will have temporary full custody of your son effective immediately. My chest tightened. An exclusive possession of the marital home until further proceedings. Danny collapsed into her chair with a broken sob. And the individual named Keith Rourke, the judge continued, is hereby barred from entering the property or contacting your son. Peter had said it. This was war. And I had just won the first battle. When the hearing ended, Danny ran after me. Jason, please listen, it wasn't like that, he pressured me, I didn't mean, I swear I still love. I didn't stop walking. Didn't turn. Didn't give her attention. Her voice cracked into a sob. Jason, please. I was stupid. I was lonely. I made mistakes. I reached my car door and finally spoke, quietly. You didn't make mistakes, Danny. She froze. You made choices. She broke into tears. And I got into my car. Peter leaned against his truck, watching with a satisfied nod. You ready for the final part? He asked. I blinked. The confrontation, he said. The one where you take your life back completely. I exhaled. I'm ready. The police station smelled like stale coffee and cheap floor polish. I sat across from Detective Monroe, elbows on the table, hands clasped tightly. My pulse hammered in my ears. She set a folder down. A thick one. Ethan. You were right, she said quietly. About everything. My chest tightened. Say it. Monroe exhaled. The assault was staged. Not only staged, orchestrated. I felt a cold wave crawl up my spine. By who? She slid the first photo toward me. A grainy shot from a hidden traffic camera. A white sedan. Parked behind the alley where Heather said she'd been attacked. The driver stepping out. Kyle. My jaw locked. Monroe continued, voice low and sharp. We matched tire prints. We matched his clothing from that night. We found text messages on Heather's phone, deleted ones, planning the entire setup. She lured you home. He attacked her just enough to leave marks. Then she called 911 early, so you'd walk straight into an ambush. I was shaking. Not with fear. With something darker. Monroe pushed more documents toward me. Ethan, they were also plotting to claim sole custody of your son. They planned to use the arrest, your job loss, and the restraining order to claim you were unstable. My hands curled into fists. And the affair? I said. She nodded slowly. We have proof. A year long. By then, I had gone silent. Too silent. Monroe studied me. You look calm. I'm done panicking, I said. Now I'm planning. 2 weeks later, the courtroom felt colder than the police station. Heather sat with Kyle. Right beside him. Their lawyers whispering like smug snakes. Heather looked exhausted. Not guilty. Just scared, scared of getting caught. Our son Mason sat in the hallway with a social worker, playing with a toy truck, oblivious to the storm about to break. Judge Hamilton, serious, stern, gray-haired, entered. We stood. We sat. Then everything began. Heather's lawyer started with the usual victim narrative. Crocodile tears. The sob story. Your Honor, my client feared for her life, feared for her child. Mr. Cole has a history of. Monroe stood from the back row. Objection. The judge's brows rose. Detective? Monroe stepped forward. Your Honor, this testimony is misleading. It is based on fabricated grounds. The police department has additional evidence. Heather's lawyer's face turned white. The judge leaned forward. Detective Monroe, approach. She placed 2 sealed envelopes on the bench. Your Honor, we request permission to enter newly discovered evidence into the record. Evidence of a staged assault, collusion between the alleged victim and a third party, and attempted custodial interference. Heather's mouth dropped open. Kyle sank in his seat. The judge opened the first envelope. Photographs. Screenshots. Logs. His expression darkened fast. Heather's lawyer tried to object, but the judge cut him off with a raised hand. Sit down. One by one, Monroe explained. The staged assault. The deleted messages. Kyle's involvement. The financial documents proving they planned to siphon funds once they secured full custody. The courtroom was dead silent. Heather's voice trembled. That's not. I didn't. Ethan, I just. She looked at me. Desperate. Panicking. I didn't move. I didn't blink. You wanted a reaction. You wanted tears. Guilt. Begging. No. You get nothing. Kyle stood up suddenly. Your Honor, this is being taken out of. Mr. Bennett, the judge said with a slam of his gavel, if you speak without permission again, you will be removed. Kyle sat. Jaw tight. Face red. The judge turned to Heather. Mrs. Cole, do you understand the severity of what I'm reading? Heather's lips trembled. I was confused. He told me, Kyle said. Ah. There it was. Throwing him under the bus. Kyle glared daggers at her. The judge wasn't buying it. Detective Monroe, what are the charges recommended? Monroe stood straight. We are recommending filing a false police report, obstruction of justice, conspiracy to commit custodial interference, and involvement in a staged assault. Heather gasped. Kyle closed his eyes, accepting fate. The judge leaned back, hands steepled. This court finds probable cause to proceed with criminal charges. Effective immediately, the restraining order against Mr. Ethan Cole is vacated. Heather burst into tears. Kyle cursed under his breath. The judge continued. Temporary full custody of Mason is granted to Mr. Cole until further hearings. My breath hitched. My heart squeezed. I finally exhaled. Heather cried, Ethan, please. Please don't take him from me. I swallowed hard. You already tried to take him from me, I said quietly. Her body shuddered. Mason saw me. He ran into my arms. Dad. I held him tighter than I ever had. Are we going home? He asked. Yeah, buddy, I said. We're going home. Heather stepped out moments later as officers cuffed Kyle beside her. The look she gave me was a mixture of regret, fear, and disbelief. Like she never expected the rabbit to bite back. She tried to reach for Mason, but the social worker blocked her. Please, Heather whispered, tears streaming. Ethan, don't let them, don't take my son. My voice was calm. Too calm. You made choices, I said. And choices have consequences. She broke down completely, collapsing to her knees. Kyle was shoved into a police car. Still glaring. Still blaming everyone but himself. And me? I lifted my son into my truck, buckled him in, and closed the door gently. The cold wind carried Heather's cries toward me. I didn't look back. Not even once. 2 months later. Business was booming. Clients who left came back with apologies. New clients arrived with bigger contracts. Word traveled fast. I wasn't the destroyed man Heather tried to make me. I was the man who survived the storm, then rebuilt stronger. I moved to a new house. Better neighborhood. Safer schools for Mason. Therapy. Gym. Discipline. Routine. I had rebuilt myself piece by piece, and every one of those pieces was sharper. Heather faced charges. Kyle took a plea deal. Their alliance crumbled. But my victory wasn't in their downfall. My victory was in this. Every morning, my son woke up in a peaceful home. No yelling. No manipulation. No lies. Just us. And every night, he'd say, "Dad, I'm glad you listened to me." I always answered the same. I always will. 6 months passed before I saw Heather again. By then, everything in my life had settled into something almost peaceful. Mason thrived, straight A's, new friends, better sleep, no more flinching when someone raised their voice. My business had tripled in size. And me? I had finally learned how to breathe without feeling watched, judged, or manipulated. Then came the court summons. Not for another battle. Not for another accusation. A voluntary mediation request. Heather wanted to talk. I could have refused. I could have let her sit in her consequences and drown in them. But sometimes, facing the past is part of killing it. So I went. The mediation office was quiet. Sterile. Filled with soft gray chairs and cheap bottled water. Heather sat there, hands folded so tightly the knuckles turned white. She looked older. Not in years, in weight. The weight of being caught. The weight of her own decisions crushing her shoulders. I sat across from her. Neutral. Calm. No fire. No hatred. Just clarity. The mediator welcomed us then left the room. She said we needed privacy. Fair. Heather swallowed hard. Then looked up at me slowly, eyes glossy. "Ethan. I'm so sorry." She said it quietly, like a confession meant for a priest. I didn't respond. Not yet. Heather took a shaking breath. "I don't expect forgiveness. I don't even know if I deserve to ask for anything. But I need you to understand something." Her voice cracked. "I never meant for things to go that far." A bitter smile tugged at the corner of my mouth. "That's the problem," I said gently. "Everything you did, you convinced yourself wasn't that far. And one day you looked around and realized you'd burned the whole house down." Tears streamed down her face. "Everything spiraled," she whispered. "Kyle convinced me you were getting distant. He told me you were hiding things. He made me think." "You don't get to blame Kyle," I said. "He amplified your choices, sure. But he didn't force you to betray me. Or lie. Or try to take our son." She flinched like the words themselves hit her. "I know," she whispered. "I know." For a long moment, the room was silent. Heather finally wiped her eyes. "I'm in therapy," she said. "I'm working on myself. I'm trying. I just needed you to know that." I nodded once. "Good. For your own sake." She hesitated. "Do you hate me?" I thought about that. Really thought about it. Hate requires energy. Heat. Emotion. I had none left for her. "No," I said softly. "I don't hate you. I just don't trust you. And I don't think I ever will again." Heather's chin trembled. She nodded slowly. Accepting it. Finally. She whispered, "I want to see Mason again." I looked her in the eyes, the same eyes I'd once loved, the same ones that lied to me without blinking. "You will," I said. "Supervised visits. Limited time. And only when he feels ready." She nodded rapidly. Thank you. But," I added, "you will never use him as leverage again. You will never lie to him, manipulate him, or drag him into adult games. If you do, I will protect him with everything I have. She looked down. I understand. Her voice was barely audible. I stood. Heather stood too. For a moment, she reached slightly, not to touch me, but like muscle memory wanted to. I didn't step closer. I didn't step back. I simply said, "Goodbye, Heather." Not angry. Not cold. Just final. Her knees wobbled a little as she whispered, "Goodbye, Ethan." And that was it. The chapter closed with a quiet click. Not a slam. Some endings don't need noise. When I got home, Mason ran toward me with his backpack bouncing behind him. "Dad! Dad! Guess what? I made the soccer team." That boy's smile, that pure, excited, untainted smile, was worth more than any revenge I had ever planned. I lifted him up and spun him. "No way." I laughed. "That's amazing, buddy." He giggled. No fear in his eyes. No sadness. Just joy. We spent the night celebrating with pizza and a movie. He fell asleep on the couch halfway through, his head on my shoulder. As I watched him breathe softly, I realized something. Revenge wasn't the victory. His peace was. My peace was. And that peace was something Heather could never take again. Months later, I bought a small cabin near a lake. A quiet place. A safe place. A place Mason and I could retreat to whenever life felt heavy. As we fished one calm morning, he looked up at me and said, "Dad, do you still think about Mom?" I smiled gently. "Sometimes," I admitted. "But mostly, I think about us. About the future we're building." He nodded seriously, like an adult trapped in a kid's body. "I'm glad I told you the truth," he said. I squeezed his shoulder. "You saved me, buddy." He grinned. "You saved me too." The sun rose slowly across the lake, turning the water gold. We sat there in silence. Not mourning the past. Not fearing the future. Just living. And that was the sweetest revenge of all. Thank you for watching this story. Now tell me in the comments. Was he right to take revenge? Who deserved what happened? And what would you have done in his place? If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and hit the super thanks to support the channel. More powerful stories are on the way.